So, hello and welcome to the New Gig podcast. I'm your host, Glenn Hodgson. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by the driving force behind Freelance Business Month, Elina Jutelyte. How are you doing, Elina?
Very well, very well. Thanks, Glenn.
Very good. Now, Elina, tell us a little bit. It's already October, Freelance Business Month. Tell us a little bit about what's coming up and what we should be expecting to see over the days and weeks to come.
Well, this Freelance Business Month is way different from previous editions. And there were several reasons to that. But this edition is specific because it's not run by me as such. Okay, I organized the entire concept. But all the sessions that we see on agenda this year are run independently by communities and experts. And what we can expect this year is a range of sessions, really. This year I didn't structure the program per week, so it's rather spontaneous. And topics include such as building your brand as a freelancer, finding customers, upgrading some technical skills like SEO, for example, or working with AI in your freelance business, and many more. So it's still a variety of topics concerning different aspects of freelance business, and I think everyone will find something to their own liking.
Excellent. And, there's been 12 months have passed since the last one. And, what are the developments that you're seeing in freelancing across the broad range of sectors here in Europe? What are the kind of main developments or main themes that you see that have been happening in recent times?
There are many things going on, of course. I think the main ones are a wide acceptance of freelancers in a work field. We do see companies kind of switching back from COVID times and pandemic times where freelancers was the way to go. And unfortunately, the trend is kind of reversed. But I still see lots of requests coming from corporate world and or association world in terms of working with freelancers, because you can't hide. The freelancers offer more flexibility, a more skill set, immediate emergence into the project without being trained or spending time for onboarding and introducing to the team, for example. What I also see is obviously technology plays a big role, even bigger with artificial intelligence coming into place. And I see freelancers embracing that as an opportunity to become more efficient, not rather losing the job, but becoming a different versions of themselves.
Hmm.
What I also see, and I was quite surprised, according to the recent research done by Freelancer Map, is that 75% of freelancers are interested in policies surrounding freelance work. Because I had opinion that freelancers are not interested in that domain at all. And I was sitting the other day thinking, am I the only one who's actually concerned about things that are happening around our work and how we've been classified or how we've been taxed and many other aspects? So it was a positive surprise to see that actually 75% of freelancers are trying to see the difference. And with that, I think the main initiative that is coming, apart of many others, of course, is that the first freelance policy forum in Europe happening in Brussels. And Glenn, you're welcome to contribute to that and join as a speaker, as a panelist, if you wish, in where we would put together legislators, commissioners, parliamentarians, and other organizations around the roundtable to talk about policies surrounding freelance work, starting with the very first one, definition of freelancers in the legislative work. So I think that these are the three things I would mark as the big changes this year.
Absolutely, and certainly in terms of the roundtables with decision makers and stakeholders, very happy to be involved in this in terms of putting ideas, thoughts, and discussions in play on that, because I think it is crucial. And I think just starting at the beginning with things like definitions is important, because the whole idea of an independent contractor, freelance, a gig worker, means different things to different people. And I think that having those kind of harmonized understanding of what we're talking about in terms of open talent will be a very important thing and an important element of the development of the future of work, and also sort of freelancing within that space as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a huge domain, of course. If we look at okay, how we're treating freelancers as such is one story. And also looking at European level, there are so many countries and different rules and policies. Some countries are better treating freelancers, some others are not so much. So how can we propose a unified solution to entire Europe? Of course, maybe it's mission impossible, but we'll try to do our best just to start flagging that freelancers are not only gig economy, right? You have platforms, you have freelancers, the merging, and this is just a small area that is the gig economy, to my perspective. The rest of the freelancers, and we've done research recently asking freelancers where they find work, and 80% says via personal connections. They're not even looking into platforms. And it seems like this economy is driven by platforms because they have the data, they have they can qualify impact somehow, versus consultants like myself or yourself, for example, not associated with platforms, but we still bring lots of benefit to the economy. But how are we quantified in the reports is unclear. In Belgium, for example, we merged with small businesses or fishers and farmers, which is okay, but we bring slightly different perspective. We do slightly different work, so we need to be kind of separated, and therefore they need to look into should we be taxed the same way? Maybe should we get the same benefits as small businesses as well, and many other aspects. And I think another prominent issue that came up this year, well, for me personally, and I see it's actually a big deal for many, is how do you combine your freelance work with, for example, caring obligations towards your family, for example. How do you combine these two things without burning yourself out? Because psychologically, it's rather difficult. Your income probably dropping because of the lack of time that you can dedicate to your business. Are we protected as freelancers in that case? In most cases, no. So there is we had very interesting discussion the other day during Freelance Business Month already about how to go with this. And it seems like it's not only related to you personally. There are many people in the same situation, and sharing experiences with folks was quite interesting.
I think so indeed. And you talked a little bit before about the fact that companies, maybe since COVID, are starting to swing back towards full-time employees, people who should be 9 to 5 in a specific place, kind of moving away from flexibility and openness to a certain extent. At the same time, freelancing is rising. So we're getting this kind of dual trend that seems to be underway.
Yeah, it seems so. And I can only puzzle why companies would, force people go to 9 to 5 again. You actually mentioned very well in your 100th episode where you provided a nice summary about freelance economy and where we're heading and how it functions. And what I like particularly about freelancing is that it allows inclusivity. I can't help thinking about people who are not able to go to the office for several reasons, but they still want to work, or they only want to work or can work, let's say, a few hours in the morning or a few hours in the evening. Why should they be excluded from work as such? And why corporates would not even think most of them are talking about diversity and inclusion, but at the same time, then exclude many people this way. I find it unfair. And I frankly think freelancing is a blessing for governments in general. They should push more for embracing that work style, because now if Europe is concerned about the Green Deal, right, it's a big deal right now, and they want to achieve certain goals. Well, freelancing is contributing to that 100%. We don't drive daily. We pollute less, therefore we work from home. We tend to be less stressed in a way. Like, I know maybe there's a question of is freelancing stressful or not? I find myself less stressful related to work. I'm more stressed about other things, but less stressful about the work because I find pleasure in what I do versus working for a boss on fixed. We create jobs actually, so we contribute to the economy this way. We pay tax, so it's good for the budget. And there are many aspects where government should look at it and say, actually, that's how it should be. Freelancing allows remote people who are located remotely also to find work and not drive daily. So it's probably better for provinces to improve unemployment rate this way. And I know governments, some of them even encourage, like Uzbekistan, for example, they said, okay, we're going 100% into that field because for us, it's the only way to decrease unemployment in rural areas. Because if people can connect remotely and do the service, why not? It's great for us.
I think so too, and I think this element of diversity is something that's often overlooked, and also it's in corporations and organizations' self-interest to be able to harness the talent, harness the skills, harness the expertise that exists out there, and have a slightly different, slightly more flexible approach, which means they get the expertise that they need, but maybe in a more flexible way on the terms of the individual who can't or doesn't want to do the 9 to 5, 5 days a week, selling hours to one organization. So you'd think that this would be in their own interest, particularly as we talk increasingly about the shortage of skills. Companies and organizations can't find the talent that they require. And therefore, this should be a way to be able to increase the flexibility to ensure that the talent and opportunity is accessed in a more open way.
Yeah, absolutely. And also looking at new generation that is coming in, like I can't help thinking about my kid. And I think I would be horrified if one day she would say, Mom, I'm dreaming about spending like the next 40 years going to the office. I was like, okay, if you really would like that, you can do it. But I just don't feel like her saying that. I think these kids are growing up feeling the freedom, feeling they have a choice, and feeling that they can, the concept of work is so much outdated. It's been there for like, I don't know how many years. And what we used to think of a work that we have to deliver, well, we can go much deeper into the history of work, but it's technically, as I see it very briefly, we had hunter-gatherer who was working for them to feed the family. So it's mostly men, was spending a few hours a day, I would say, hunting in a good case. Then we go to collectivism, industrialism, and stuff like that, where we were working for like an idea to make something happen. Then moving forward, it's working for commercial interest of someone, again, spending huge amount of time working for someone. And, from early on, ladies and women also had to dedicate the effort and depart from the family, basically, to earn money. And I think now a period where we realize that actually we can construct our work around our life. So if a woman has to work, then she can work at the hours that is convenient for her. For example, today, like I had an issue with the kid. Yeah, I couldn't leave her alone. I need to adapt my schedule. I had to reschedule calls and some meetings and whatever in the morning. And that's how it should be. And again, if men decide that, okay, I better stay with the kid and spend some time with children and then dedicate my work in the evening, for instance, then that should be a possibility.
Yeah, because the technology is there. It's just the mindsets that need to change. It seems to be more than anything else. That's something that needs to catch up. And also, it seems to be organizations still have this issue with the legal aspects, the compliance elements that makes them a little wary about taking on more freelance talent, contractors, because of the feeling that what actually stays within the organization, are they legal, all this grey area and worries about misclassification and the fines that can come about as well. It seems to this grey area and this lack of transparency seems to be something that scares organizations off a little bit.
Yeah, to be honest, this misqualification issues, I don't even get it. I'll explain. Like why it should even be the case. And I think some companies may not even understand that fully, especially if they never work with freelancers. Well, I can give you an example. For example, I was hired as a freelancer within the company, and in a couple of months they said, well, we cannot keep you as a freelancer because of the law. You have to switch to full employment. I'm like, and why am I pushed into that? So that is the law that says to them, they cannot hold me any longer because according to their perspective, I'm working full time for them. Therefore, I need to be hired as an employee. When in my perspective, I was dedicating full time for them, but also I had other customers. So from legal, I was like a totally normal freelancer, like nothing can happen to me, but it can happen to that company. They can be. So I think it needs to be reviewed and redrafted because technically the law is pushing companies to make freelancers switch into a corporate role, full-time job, which is not correct.
Yeah.
I guess, we can make a change in that direction too. What I also find strange, and I understand that change will take time, like it cannot happen immediately, right? I guess maybe in 10 years or so, we'll get to the point where nobody's just speaking about it. It becomes a norm and majority works that way, but we'll have to still get there. What I find strange, for example, when like from time to time, I take a sneak peek on jobs that have been published, and I actually felt discriminated as well as a freelancer because the job post was saying, it's a full-time employment, you have to go to the office and all that things. I'm like, I'm not even interested anymore. But why I cannot apply as a freelancer and propose my solution to that company? I find very.
Yeah, it's the mindset again that comes out. And in terms of your overview, what are you seeing in terms of some sectors that are more attractive, more open to this than others? Seems to be a lot in the sort of development and operations in the IT sector. Of course, we have artists, musicians, and in certain countries, of course, lawyers, architects, they need to be independent. That's the sort of the way that the organization been set up in society from a tax and a perspective of roles from a corporate standpoint. So is there areas you see that are sort of growing as of importance, or individuals in that sector are seeking more of a independent freelance arrangement?
It stays stable, to be honest. For like 5 years that we're measuring attendance at Freelance Business Month, for example, where we do ask about their occupation and the sector they are active in. There are 4 main categories: IT and developers, obviously, is the highest. Marketeers of all sorts, creatives, and writers. And again, under writers and creators, there is a bunch of different subcategories in it. And I think the reason for that is that it's easier for these people to find work online. It's easier to operate online as well for these individuals. What I see as I talk to different platform owners, communities as such, there is a big demand for consultancy as such, some senior positions. I guess companies figure out, or maybe even small organizations and startups, that seeking a consultancy doesn't cost much. They can engage with someone typically. And by doing that, they get know-how and expertise of someone with a very significant background. And I think similar to you, as we're evaluating the market daily, we see that more platforms are coming, targeting to specific groups of people, from students to health professionals to trying to think of a very specific one, Many. There are more than 1,000 of them at the moment, even maybe more. So there is like, if you have a niche, there would be a demand most probably.
And freelancers seem to be getting more and more on the right side of technology, using it as a tool, using it as a benefit and an advantage in helping them to do their works and their projects and their various tasks. Much more au fait with the technology and the development than full-time employees who seem to be a little bit behind in terms of their uptake.
Yeah, it could be. I think the reason to that is, first of all, as freelancer work with different customers and companies using different tech stack. So they're ultimately learning new tools on that job. But also, you cannot come up as a professional freelancer if you are not familiar with technology, at least for your own domain. You would come up as someone maybe less equipped to do work efficiently if you struggle with technology. So it's absolutely paramount to stay up to date with tech updates and whatever comes to the market, so that you can stay competitive, and also to your own benefit. If if you're working on a project basis, to your own benefit, it is better if you're time efficient. So the faster you can produce certain results, the better it is, bottom line.
And you alluded just to a little bit before that, Elina, the fact that there are certain mental health, certain social issues generally in society, but also freelancers who suffer or can be open to certain elements, not having as much contact with colleagues, having much more the desire and the need to coordinate their own time. This isolation, the search for projects and activities. There are sort of social and mental health elements that sort of are associated with this as well.
There is. Some people feel very lonely in that work, and some people are okay. I guess depends with your character and temperament that you have. Some people prefer to work solo and touch points from time to time with someone online, or just going on a meetup is enough. There are people who are like social animals and they need to be in a group all the time. Those people can solve that by going and work in a co-working space, for example. There's plenty of people to talk with and you feel like you're part of something. The psychological moment of freelancing, like I mentioned earlier, they speak about stress and freelancing. I find that, and I wanted actually to do a poll on LinkedIn before this discussion, but maybe I'll do it later. Like, do people feel the same level of stress while they're freelancing and comparing with being on a corporate job? I felt much more stress being in a corporate environment. First of all, because present there at certain time, I can't be late for any reason. Then dealing with corporate bureaucracy and relationships and politics, sometimes not an easy task. And stress at that time was much higher than the stress I have now. The stress I have now, and many freelancers share that, is slightly different. It's mostly associated with like financial stability, with regulating your time around work. Like, do you balance it correctly so you have enough time for the rest of the things you'd like to do with the family or yourself? It's just different level. But I guess there are ways to go around it by learning, and that's why I love freelancing purpose, because people do share how they cope with these issues and how they structure their life and manage it efficiently, so that there is less stress. So I guess it comes with acknowledgement, first of all, and once you realize that you can find an answer and find a solution to fix it.
Yeah, so it is in your own hands, and there is support and help out there to be able to assist with these kind of elements, which I think is really strong and very interesting. So, Elina, thank you very much indeed for sharing the time, thoughts, and inputs here, and also as we continue through the Freelance Business Month as well, sharing our ideas, sharing experiences, but also learning as we go along, because this is a journey rather than a destination in terms of working out all the moving parts And I think this is something that's absolutely crucial to the way that we're working and the lifestyle and work style that we've chosen.
Absolutely, absolutely. And whoever is on that journey, I think one thing you have to remember is that someone has already been there. So it's
Mm.
okay to reach out and ask, join cohorts or mentorship groups, work with coaches. I totally embrace it because that's how we shortcut to success, right? It took me long years to get to the point where I realized actually I just should have, worked with someone at the start who would help me and find a way much quicker. So I would recommend that highly.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much indeed, Elina, and speak to you soon.
Thanks, Glenn. Take care.